Oh, you guys are going to love this little behind the scenes I'm going to share with you today. So, what I want to share with you guys today is I'm going to actually show you a behind the scenes of what we do in my own business to actually move people through the customer journey, like through the point of who the hell are you to Gina, where do I sign up? How do I work with you? Okay. All right, so I'm going to walk you through like our actual flow chart. Now, the flow chart that I'm going to show you is pretty basic, okay? This flow chart is going to look different for every business because every business has their own methodology, how you bring leads in and then how you convert the leads into prospects and how do you convert those prospects into actual customers and clients. So what I'm going to show you is a very basic one, but you can add to this. And I love creating flowcharts. So actually the one I'm going to show you is inside of Lucid, and then Miro is another one. Has anyone heard of those? You guys use flowcharts, by the way? So I love flowcharts. I create them for our clients, especially our done for you clients, or even some of my coaching clients. So when we have to walk them through like visuals, for example, if I'm creating a strategy for a client on how they bring in from a Facebook ad a lead to then go to this next step, and then the person needs to go to this next step and this next step and this next step, I create this flow chart, right? So I'm going to show you a more basic flow chart of our entire process. So before we dive in, here's what I want to share with you. One second, hold on. What I want to share with you is that this process that I'm going to show you is really, really fantastic if you are looking for a cash injection like yesterday. Okay. So if you're sick of waiting for your content to do its job for you, because content should work for you, you shouldn't be working for content, right? Content should actually do things for you. There is a reason to put content out there, and meaning your organic content. So content that you're not paying for people to actually see, right? You're posting it and you are hoping that the right people actually gain attraction from it. We teach and we implement this. There's ways to write content and to create content that actually is attracting your now buyers. That is what we want. But the content that you're putting out there consistently, hopefully you are. If you're not, we need to talk because we can help you with that. But consistently, it's necessary. Okay. So we don't want you to stop creating daily content. All right. But when you create this one piece of content, this one post once a week, when you put this out there once a week, this can bring in a flood. And when I'm talking about a flood, I've had hundreds of leads come in from one post like this. Okay. Now, with that said, you don't just do this one thing, this one post, because here's the thing. It won't work if you're not consistently showing up with other daily content, okay? And doing other engagement activities on social media. It won't work because the algorithm won't pick you up. Nobody's going to see the post anyways. So don't replace what I'm showing you for actually showing up consistently with value on social media, okay, as it relates to creating content and posting content out there. So I want you to think of content as like little breadcrumbs that are creating an experience to create the big slice of bread, okay? That's pretty much what content is. And that experience is walking your ideal clients, which should be like your now buyers. Those are the people that we want to activate on our profiles, on our social media profiles. We want to activate them to actually become a lead and then to convert that lead into a prospect and to convert that prospect into a customer or client. Because if not, what is the point of even using social media for your business? There is no point, right? So if you feel like you have been putting in the work, like you are consistent on social media, but you're not seeing the results from that content, then it is time for you to start plugging this system in. Okay. This is going to be for you. This is a much faster way to activate your audience. And it's one that doesn't require you to be pumping out. Like, again, you still need to do, I believe you still want to show up once a day on social media, right? In different forms, whether it's video, written content, in stories, whatever it is. In some form, but you don't have to be pumping out a drastically amount of new content all the time. And a lot of what we do is repurposing content anyways. But this is a very specific strategy that is intended to very specifically activate your audience like immediately. Okay. And when I say activate, I'm talking about getting people to raise their virtual hands. Okay. When you do this, it's strategic, it's simple. This does not require you to go viral at all. In fact, the post itself may go viral, but when it goes viral, it's actually going viral because it's getting people to raise their virtual hand. But like I said, this does not mean that you stop showing up with value-driven content. Okay. That's the kind of content that builds your digital footprint, that builds your visibility, the brand presence, that creates this long-term authority and connection, which is what you want if you are an expert and you are the one delivering your services to your clients. People need to get to know, like, and trust you. And that's what we do with organic content. Okay. So this is the flow chart that, and again, remember, this is a very basic flow chart, but it'll give you a good visual of what this looks like. Okay. This is how you shorten the sales cycle and you accelerate the, I know you now, I like you, and I'm trusting you because I've been watching your content over and over again, but now it's leading to intentional conversations that can convert. Okay. So you're going to be like, that's it? That's all it takes? I mean, there's things that happen, throughout. So I'm going to walk you through these steps. So the very first thing is the pink box over here. Many people call it, or it's known as a hand raising post. Some people have called it a ladder post. I call it an activation post internally, but this is a post that activates high intent leads. Okay. So when you post this type of post, and usually what this looks like, and I've shared this on other calls, other trainings that I've done with you guys, usually what this is going to look like is just a 1-sentence or a 2-sentence phrase on a color block background if you're using this in Facebook. If you're doing this somewhere else, I actually am following somebody that is really good at these, and he calls them ugly posts. Basically just wording on an image that has like no animation, no images, nothing. It's just wording. Okay. It's super straightforward, concise, blunt, to the point, doesn't have clever verbiage. Like when somebody sees this kind of post, they know exactly whether or not they want to say yes or no. Okay. And that's how they raise their virtual hand, because they comment on the post. So it could sound something like, if I shared with you a behind the scenes to our DM to client method, would you want to see it? Okay. So some of you, when I shared that post inside of the group, that was an activation post that I shared in the group to come watch today's live or the replay of today's session. Okay. Some of you said, yes, I want to see it. So those are activation posts. All right. That is raising a high intent lead. So little transparency here. For those of you that said, yes, I want more info on that, you essentially are a virtual lead for me because you have an interest in knowing how this works. And there's a reason why you have an interest in knowing why this works. Most likely because you need help with this, right? You're looking to fast track your results on social media. And so you have high intention. Okay. So once that person raises their virtual hand, meaning they have commented that, yes, they want to know more, or yes, they want access. Yes, I want this, whatever it is your little call to action was on that hand raising post, that activation post, then you are going to reply to their comment, letting them know you will DM them. Okay. So when I've done this, not here inside of the group, but when I do this outside of the group, like on my personal profile, over on my business page, or inside of other groups where I have access, I have authority to actually do posts like these, everyone that comments on my post, I am going to respond to their comment. And the reason why you want to do that is because it helps the algorithm then push that post out to more people, because it's seeing that you are connecting with those people. You want to react to their comment. So you want to like it or love it, right? And then you want to reply to their comment something with as simple as, hey, Anne-Marie, amazing. I'm going to send you a DM with how you can access that. Or I'm going to send you a DM to show you, or to send you the link, or, whatever. Again, it's got to correlate with your call to action. Okay. Then what happens next? The next thing is we can't keep them hanging, right? The next part of this is we're going to actually send them a DM. Yeah, we're going to send them a personal message and we're going to be human and we're going to interact and have a conversation. Okay. This is where most people miss and they feel like their marketing falls flat because they're not responding to comments and they expect people to just send them a DM, and it doesn't work that way. So you want to take the lead in the conversation, and you also want them to feel as if you actually care and you're taking an extra moment to send them a DM. So you simply send a DM that could sound something like, "Hey, Christine, thank you so much for your comment on my post about," and then you remind them what the post was about, right? About showing you my behind the scenes DM to client method. Okay. Here's how you can access the training, or here's what I'm going to be showing you on Tuesday. If you jump into this workshop, here's the link below for you to grab that. Okay. So you're reminding them about what they commented on, and then you are giving them whatever it is that your call to action was. Right. And that is our DM cash flow framework. Okay. So now this is where the real sales conversation starts, because after you have given them that resource or the link to whatever it is that you offered them, or, you made the offer, maybe in your post, in your little block post or activation post, you said, I'm hosting a workshop this coming Tuesday to show you blank, who wants in, right? So whatever it is, you got to follow up after you've given them what it is that you said that you were going to give them, right? And this is something that I've learned from one of my mentors. She's a good friend of mine, a good virtual friend of mine. We've never actually met in person. She's also the owner of Group Track, which is one of the CRMs and tools platforms that we use. In my business, some of our clients use it too, to track all of our leads from social media. So you want to give them the resource, but you also want to say, I'm going to touch base with you in a few days just to make sure if you had any questions or to see how that worked for you, right? So you're already letting them know, I'm going to touch base with you in a few days. Now, it could be different depending on what it is that you're offering them. If it's something that's paid and you already gave them the link, you may say, I'm going to touch base later on today to make sure that we didn't miss seeing your name on the list. Now, we don't stop there, right? So whether you're going to touch base with them in 3 days or you're going to follow up with them because they didn't show up on the list, you need to follow up with them. There's other ways to follow up too. You could ask questions like, well, the first DM that you send them, you could say, and by the way, I'm curious, what sparked your interest into requesting this? Is there anything specific right now that's going on in your business that you're having a challenge with that you need help with? Because maybe I can share an additional tip. Or you could say, because maybe I have another resource for you, right? Or it could give you an opportunity once they answer that to say, hey, you know what? I have a better idea. Why don't we jump on a quick call? I have some extra time tomorrow or Friday, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Do any of those times work? And I can give you actually some better guidance, or walk you through, more personalized method of how to implement this in your business. So lots of different routes of how to do that. But the important thing is that you actually follow through with them. That is the main part of this. And that's typically why people feel that their online marketing falls flat, because they're not activating their audience with any sort of content that is clear and concise and is giving people or offering people something that they actually want right now. And so that's what we want to do with this entire method. I'm going to walk through it really quickly again. So first step is you post a hand-raising post that activates your high intent leads. We want now buyers. We want people that are currently in the moment searching on Google or wherever for a solution to their problem, and you have that solution. The second part of this, step 2, is now that they've raised their hand, you need to respond. You need to respond to their comments. Okay, don't leave them hanging. Third part is now we're actually going to slide into their DMs. Okay, and then the fourth part is we're going to follow through. Very simple. And then fifth, we're going to have actual sales conversations. All right. So one thing that I want to mention too is if you swap out any content just for this, like I said, it is not going to work. So have you heard of Google's 7-11-4 rule? This is going to be a huge eye opener for you guys. So this is actually something that came out about a year ago. And if anything, I'm going to say that these numbers are probably higher now, but I want you to think about this. If you're like, my content isn't working, or if you are someone, I just heard this from a client the other day, and she said, I feel like my topics are super repetitive. Okay. Eye opener, guys. So Google's 7-11-4 rule. The 7 part means that your audience, individuals in your audience that could be potential leads to turn them into prospects and customers or clients, they need at least 7 hours of interaction with content of yours. So if you're someone who is only doing like 30-second reels all of the time, they're going to need a lot of those reels to be consuming. And remember, every time you post something, the same person is not seeing your content. Okay. That's the 7 part. The 11 part is they need 11 touch points. What do I mean by touch points? Meaning they need follow through from you 11 times minimum. Sending them a personal DM saying, hey, it's nice to connect with you. Sending them those follow-up DMs, sending them a text message, sending them an email. Those are touch points. And they need to be consuming your content on 4 separate channels, meaning social media could be a channel, an email platform could be a channel, your website could be a channel, text messaging could be a channel. Okay. When you are making sure that your content and the way that you're showing up, your visibility is in all of these different, the 7-11-4 rule, then you're going to have a cohesive and much more collective online marketing strategy that's going to work. So, I hear this all the time. Like, I've been doing lives for so long and I just feel like they're not working. Or I post every day or twice a day for so long and it's not working. Most likely, either there's an issue with your messaging, maybe just not activating your audience, but typically it's the messaging. You're focused on the wrong things in your content. And you may also be only focused on one platform, right? So like if you're putting all your eggs into one basket, meaning like all your eggs on social media, but you don't have an email list growing, you're going to lose out. Okay. So just some of the things to think about. It was an eye opener. I mean, I've known this because I, in marketing, have been telling clients there's a frequency number, right? It used to be people had to hear from you 7 times or see your same message 7 times before they made any move. But nowadays, it's more like somewhere between 20 something times before they make any moves. So if you consider all of the platforms that people are on, right? People are typically on multiple platforms. They're consuming content in multiple ways, not just one way. That's why it's really important to think about that 7-11-4 rule. Okay. So going back to the DM money method. So here's the thing. It compresses that timeline. Okay. Because if you are following that 7-11-4 rule or parts of it, but you're not activating your audience with what we're talking about, which is activation posts, then it's going to take longer for you to actually see the compound effects of that, right? But when you follow something like our DM money method, where you are once a week, you're posting that hand raising post, which is activating your audience, and then you're moving all of those virtual leads, the people that are raising their hand, into a DM conversation, you are literally compressing the timeline that it takes someone to go from who the hell are you to, oh my gosh, how do I work with you? Okay. So any questions before I jump off on the method and how this works and how this could work inside of your business? Drop them below. I will come back and I'll answer all of them. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.